So again, the Arc data services, so this is the one where we're able to start, getting more sophisticated, where we have these, this Kubernetes environment. It's, it's not here in Azure. It could be in Azure. It could be someplace else. And I want to be able to pull information from it, inventory logging. There's ability to do direct or indirect access for Kubernetes for the application. It could be for security reasons or performance, and you want to pull inventory information for billing. So if it's a direct one, which most of the times most people will use the direct view of it, you can also get insight to the billing aspect of it. So you can look at that through Azure Arc. So pulling all of that together for things that are in Azure, for things that are on-prem, just continue to benefit the organization. And really, it's when you think about this, hopefully it is there's a direct view that I normally see. Well, I have these other tools that does the logging. I have these other things that do this. But really start to think about, how do they come together? What work do you have to do together? And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to replace everything. Some things may need to stay the same, but if you can start to at least unify them, create consistent logging and information, like I said, you could do that with what you have now, and then start to do some comparison on the benefits and the costs that you have. Now, when you start to have all of this in Azure Arc, and there's a Defender for Cloud that's being pulled in as well, now you start to see other information around like security. So now in one view, you can start to look at all my AWS subscriptions, my GCP projects that I have in there, some things in Azure. What is my unified view in terms of regulatory compliance? Now, there's some that Microsoft has built in that are there. There's others that have been added in and continue that are specific to things like CMMC. Obviously, some updates happening for V2, but specific that's happening for this. And we're not even talking about the users that normally have their own compliance view of the data and SharePoint, all that. This is about my infrastructure that I have that I'm able to pull in there, even though they don't live inside of Azure. And that's really the other benefit from a snapshot view of this, is I get to start to get that unified view, and I can take action, and I can see the history that's inside of it. So I'm able to start to pull those properties together without, again, having to change everything in my environment, which is always the biggest fear, right? Which is, well, if I got to do this, I got to migrate things, or I got to open up new ports. I got to put a whole new server and deployments. You don't have to. You don't need to. And if you're going to eventually make a transition, so guidance I tell customers all the time, if this server is that important and you have to meet compliance, but you plan to get rid of it in 6 months, deploy it through Arc now, keep track of it. One, it can only help you in collecting information you're going to want as part of your migration. The second thing is, security people don't take time off. The hackers don't take time. Auditors tend to want to think about now and what you have. And sometimes your desire to move may go longer. And because you're doing this as the service as you need it, well, at the time you migrate away from it because you went to a SaaS thing, or did it Microsoft Power Platform, whatever it is, as soon as it goes away, that cost goes away. But you would want to have this now early on. So, something to really think about early on you can do, and getting this insight. So if you're the CIO or IT manager and have other people, including, well, I have another MSP that manages those servers for me. Fine. They probably have their own agent that pulls things and does whatever. You may get insight into that, oftentimes not. You may get a report to them. You get really good ones will give you some. Why not also collect this for yourself to have another view of accountability? Is it going to bother you for the server? I think, again, don't hold me to the pricing. This is recorded, so it could change tomorrow and I could have it wrong. But I believe to do with Arc on the Windows server I think I was looking at Virginia Government Cloud, and doing the inventory patch update, there was something else I forgot. It was like $750 a month, right? Not going to break you, shouldn't. If you got 10, $75 to get this view of it, and you can keep using your other applications and then decide like, hey, that's doing great. And to have two things that tell you that is not bad. If you see that there's some big gaps, well, now something to take a look at. So, getting started with that from a security footprint standpoint is key.